What's up everyone? Today I'm going to show you my 3 favorite hip mobilizations to improve squat depth and decrease pinchy hips in the bottom of the squat. First, we're going to have a big rogue band attached to a rig or something sturdy that's not going to move. Next, we're going to put the band up as close to the hip as possible. We're going to get some tension in the band, and the first mobilization is going to be a lateral hip distraction. So I want the band to be pulling my hip laterally towards the rig. So I'm going to get into a deep lunge, making sure there's no pinchy or stiffness in the front. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my hand on my foot and I'm just going to mobilize. I'm going to sink into that band, let that band try to pull my hip laterally back towards the squat rack or the rig. I'm just going to search for those tension spots or those tight spots in the back of the hip. This is a really good way to open up the hip, getting into a good squat position. So you can see I'm breaking 90 degrees. My hip is below my knee, improving some of that mobility. The next mobilization is going to be a sprinter's mobilization. So I'm going to be in a sprinter position, again, keeping that band as close to the top of my hip as possible. Get in the sprinter or pike position. I'm going to keep my hips high and I'm going to pedal my feet back and forth. So when my right heel drops down towards the ground, I feel a nice stretch in the posterior chain, my hamstring and my glute. Holding this position for 30 seconds to a minute, just pedaling the feet back and forth. The last mobilization is going to be a modified pigeon stretch, or what I call a posterior capsule stretch. So I'm going to have that band going posterior lateral. And I'm going to drop this knee down, so this is why it's a modified pigeon stretch. I'm going to drive my weight through my front knee, and you can see there's a line going from my knee all the way to the back of my hip. So I'm going to sink down, put my weight through my knee, and I'm going to let that band mobilize my hip in a posterior lateral direction. Again, avoiding any pinchy or stiffness in the front of the hips. You should just feel a big stretch in that back pocket area, in the back of the hip or the glute. I like to hang out here for a minute or two, just like the first 2 mobilizations, just searching for that stiffness and working all parts of the hip. So I like to perform these before any type of heavy squats, front squats, overhead squats, where I'm really going to be biasing that deep hip flexion, getting as low as possible without aggravating the front of my hip.